The sun had barely risen over the small farming village when Zack was already awake. Every morning began the same way. He stepped out of his tiny wooden house, stretched his tired muscles, and walked toward the old barn behind his home. Waiting there was his best friend, an old gray donkey named Speed. The name always made people laugh. Speed, the villagers would joke, that donkey is slower than a sleeping turtle. Zack would simply smile and gently pat Speed's neck. To everyone else, Speed was just an old donkey. But to Zack, he was family. Zack had inherited the donkey from his father many years earlier. Since then, the two had worked side by side through droughts, storms, and difficult seasons. Life had never been easy. Zack was one of the poorest farmers in the village. His small field produced just enough crops to survive. While other farmers bought modern equipment and expanded their land, Zack continued working with old tools and his aging donkey. Every day was a struggle. Yet despite his hardships, Zack never complained. One summer, a wealthy businessman arrived in the village. He wore expensive clothes and rode a shiny carriage. The villagers gathered around him eagerly. "I have an opportunity for all of you," the businessman announced. Everyone listened carefully. "I can teach you how to become rich quickly. Invest your savings in my trading company. Within months, your money will double." The villagers became excited. "Double our money? That sounds amazing. Finally, an easy way to get rich." Many rushed home to collect their savings. Even Zack heard the news. His neighbor Tom ran to him. "Zack, this is our chance." "Our chance for what?" "To become rich." Tom explained the businessman's offer. "Everyone is investing." Zack looked thoughtful. "Is it safe?" Tom laughed. "You worry too much. Stop being so cautious." That night Zack sat outside his house watching the stars. Speed rested beside him. "I don't know, old friend," Zack said quietly. "It sounds tempting." Speed simply chewed some grass. Zack smiled. "You always listen better than people." After a long silence, he made his decision. Instead of investing his small savings, Zack bought better seeds and repaired part of his farm. When the villagers learned about his choice, they laughed. "You'll stay poor forever. Look at him wasting money on farming. You could have doubled your savings." Zack said nothing. He simply continued working. Months passed. At first, the investors were thrilled. The businessman sent letters showing impressive profits. People celebrated. Tom proudly showed Zack the papers. "See, I told you." Zack congratulated him and returned to his field. Then one morning everything changed. The businessman disappeared. So did the money. The trading company had been a scam. Years of savings vanished overnight. The village was devastated. Families cried. Arguments broke out. People blamed one another. Tom sat outside his house with his head in his hands. "I lost everything." Zack felt sorry for him. The next morning he quietly brought Tom vegetables from his farm. "You need this more than I do," Zack said. Tom looked ashamed. "After everything I said to you." "We all make mistakes." Tom's eyes filled with tears. That day he learned a lesson about kindness. Life continued. Another year passed. A new trend appeared. This time it was giant machines. Several wealthy farmers bought expensive tractors. They mocked Zack and Speed. "Look at that donkey. You'll never compete with modern technology." Again Zack remained silent. The tractors worked wonderfully at first. Fields were plowed quickly. Farmers boasted about their efficiency. But many had borrowed large amounts of money to buy the machines. When crop prices unexpectedly dropped, they struggled to repay their debts. Some lost their land, others spent sleepless nights worrying. Meanwhile, Zack continued moving slowly. Every season he saved a little money. Every season he improved something small. A stronger fence, healthier soil, better irrigation. Nothing dramatic, nothing exciting, just steady progress. Years passed. One spring, a severe drought struck the region. Rain disappeared, rivers shrank, fields turned brown. Many farmers panicked. Their crops began dying. Because Zack had spent years improving his irrigation system little by little, his farm survived better than most. His harvest was smaller than usual but still healthy. Again people were surprised. "How are you managing?" Zack smiled. "One day at a time." The drought lasted months. Many farms failed, but Zack endured, not because he was lucky, because he had prepared patiently for years. One evening, Tom visited Zack's farm. The two friends sat beneath a tree while Speed rested nearby. "I finally understand something," Tom said. "What's that?" "I spent my life searching for shortcuts." Zack listened. "Every time I saw a faster road, I chased it." Tom looked toward the horizon. "But you stayed on the same path. It wasn't always easy." "I know." Tom smiled. Maybe that's why it worked. The years continued to pass. Zack grew older. So did Speed. The donkey fur became lighter. His steps became slower. Yet every morning he still appeared beside Zack. One cold winter day, Zack noticed Speed struggling to walk. The old donkey moved carefully and seemed tired. Zack immediately stopped working. "You've carried enough burdens, my friend." He led Speed back to the barn. From that day forward, Zack reduced the donkey workload. Instead of asking Speed to carry heavy supplies, he allowed him to rest more often. The villagers noticed. "You spoiled it, donkey." Zack laughed. He earned it. Months later, Speed became very weak. One evening Zack sat beside him in the barn. Snow fell softly outside. For hours he gently stroked the donkey neck. "You were there when nobody believed in me." Speed looked at him with calm eyes. "You never quit." Tears formed in Zack's eyes. "And because you never quit, neither did I." The next morning Speed peacefully passed away. For a long time Zack sat quietly beside his friend. The barn felt empty. The farm felt quieter. A piece of his heart seemed missing. The villagers attended a small gathering to honor the old donkey. Many remembered laughing at Speed for years. Now they understood something they had never seen before. The donkey represented the same lesson Zack had lived by. Slow, steady, reliable, persistent. Tom stood and addressed the crowd. Everyone called him Speed as a joke. Soft laughter spread through the gathering. But maybe the name was perfect. People listened carefully. Tom continued, "Because true success isn't about moving faster than everyone else. It's about continuing when others stop." The crowd fell silent. Those words stayed with them. Years later Zack's farm became one of the most respected farms in the region. Not the largest, not the richest, but one of the most successful. Young farmers often visited him seeking advice. They expected secret strategies, special techniques, magic formulas. Instead, Zack would tell them the story of an old donkey. He would explain how most people quit because results take longer than expected. How others become distracted by shortcuts. How patience often beats talent. How consistency defeats excitement. One young farmer once asked, "What is the secret to success?" Zack smiled. "There isn't one." The young man looked confused. "There has to be." Zack pointed toward his fields. "Plant the seed, water it, protect it, be patient, repeat." The young man frowned. "That's all?" "That's all." Years later, people still remembered Zack and Speed. Not because they achieved greatness overnight. Not because they became famous. But because they proved something powerful. A slow step forward is still a step forward. Patience is not weakness. Consistency is not boring. And success does not belong to the fastest person. It belongs to the person who keeps going when everyone else gives up. Whenever people felt discouraged, they remembered the poor farmer and his old donkey. They remembered that progress does not need to be fast. It only needs to continue. And sometimes, the slow road leads exactly where you are meant to be.